Well, we've got this fabulous Sun-Mars conjunction, and it's sextile Pluto. So it's a really, on one hand, well, it is very intense, Sun-Mars and Scorpio anyway. And then sextile to Pluto, it sort of builds on that same theme. So it's intense, and it has a real mysteriousness about it. It's highly motivating. That Sun Mars, it's really quite beautiful. And Mars is, of course, very comfortable in the Scorpio. So it brings a huge amount of sort of innovation, real startup stuff. And with the Pluto sextile in Capricorn, it gives it form, it brings matter to it. So, it really is a time to sort of make the most of things or do things that are quite physical, that sort of that Pluto and Earth, the Sun Mars, it sort of calls for action. That's what it is. It's a call for action, not change necessarily, although it is opposite Uranus, of course.
What if the next episode of the Astrology Hub podcast was tailored just for you, your interests, your astrological level, your curiosity? This is within reach, and it all starts with your voice. After over 6 years of producing content for our community, we've decided to take a step back, reflect on, and revise the path forward. And we would love your input during this time. We invite you to share your thoughts on our podcast survey. This is your chance to shape the content that will support you most on your astrological journey. And to show our thanks for your invaluable input, when you complete the survey, you will automatically be entered into a raffle to win a free 30-minute reading with one of our incredible Astrologer Connect astrologers. Ready to contribute? Visit astrologyhub.com/podcastfuture or just click the link in the show notes. Your insights will illuminate the path for the content that you love. The future of our podcast is in your hands. Go to astrologyhub.com/podcastfuture to submit your input, plus enter your name into the raffle. Thank you so much.
Hi there and welcome. We are thrilled to have you here with us. And if you are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can stay updated on all the new content that we have in store for you. I'm Jamie McGee, one of the hosts here at Astrology Hub. And today we'll be exploring the astrological influences for the week of November 20th through the 26th with our Inner Circle guide this month, astrologer Wendy Stacey. If you haven't met Wendy Stacey yet, she is a professional astrologer and the principal of the International Mayo School of Astrology and chair of the Astrological Association. Like I said, she's our guide for the Inner Circle this month, has a fantastic Sanistry class out in compatibility. I loved diving into that. Before we connect with Wendy, I wanted to mention if you have not signed up for the chart reading extravaganza all about harmonics, that it is not too late. We just had our first class last week. You can learn more about this at astrologyhub.com/harmonic. And we'll make sure that we put that link in the bottom for you. This is a great opportunity for you to connect with Rick. He has a very long wait list and he has a brilliant way of working this class where at least 16 students are going to be able to have their chart selected and read by Rick Merlin Levine. It's a great opportunity. Again, you can learn more by going to astrologyhub.com/harmonic. All right. Wendy, welcome. It's so great to be back here with you again.
Oh, it's wonderful to be back. Thank you, Jamie. Thanks for inviting me.
It's brilliant. And I loved your teaching in the Inner Circle. It was perfectly timed. And I love how even the new moon ceremony that you had or the new moon forecast was brilliant because we had the astrological transits kind of making themselves known as you were giving that broadcast. So it was perfect. I feel like you were divinely fit and perfect for this month. So I'm super happy.
Brilliant. Thank you. Oh, it's a busy, full of month.
It is. It is. I remember thinking that October was going to be wild, but then I think November kind of snuck in the back door. I was like, oh, that's a fun one too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So for the week of November the 20th through the 26th, what is the overall theme that we'll be working with as a collective?
Well, we've got this fabulous Sun-Mars conjunction and it's sextile Pluto. So it's a really, on one hand, it is very intense, Sun-Mars and Scorpio anyway. And then sextile to Pluto, it sort of builds on that same theme. So it's intense and it has a real mysteriousness about it. it's highly motivating. That Sun Mars, it's really quite beautiful. And Mars is, of course, very comfortable in the Scorpio. So it brings a huge amount of sort of innovation, real startup stuff. And with the Pluto sextile in Capricorn, it gives it form, it brings matter to it. So, it really is a time to sort of make the most of things or do things that are quite physical. That sort of that Pluto and Earth, the Sun, Mars, it sort of calls for action. That's what it is. It's a call for action, not change necessarily, although it is opposite Uranus, of course. It has been opposite Uranus. It is separating away from that. So, it's losing a bit of its crazy and it's sort of settling in to be a bit more contained. And so, yeah, it's a really good time to focus, because that's what that Scorpio and Pluto demands of us, to really concentrate, but not necessarily, it's not really mentally, it's physically. So really sort of doing something physically or just, putting something into form. I mean, that can be many different things. So that's really huge, that Sun, Mars, sextile Pluto. And what's interesting amongst all of this for the whole week too, there's lots of other different things going on, but we have an unaspected Jupiter. I mean, the week begins with an unaspected Uranus too. So the unaspected Jupiter is for the whole week. And so Jupiter in Taurus, unaspected Jupiter in Taurus. So we get a sort of whole flavor of, on one hand, that Sun, Mars, and sextile Pluto is very measured. And it's also sort of, it's brave. It's very, very brave. And with the Jupiter unaspected in Taurus, it sort of means people, again, that braveness is echoed, it's highlighted. So it brings a sort of adventure, but it's sort of sort of a risky adventure, if you like. I mean, I'm not saying, swinging from trees and going on, those wobbly swing bridges and all that, but it sort of feels like that. No matter what one does, there is a sense of not necessarily danger, but just feeling on the edge. That Sun, Mars brings adrenaline. And so you sort of feel very alive. You feel, shaky. And that Jupiter and Taurus sort of accentuates that, as did the opposition with Uranus as well, that it's separating from. Still there, but separating from. Then you have some other things going on during, the week too, with the moon touching all the outer planets and things like that, and a few ingresses of the planets. But yeah, it's going to be it's a very interesting week. So, but it calls for calm. It calls for taking stock of things. Really, it's a good time to do. And when I say taking stock, I mean it's quite literal. Inventory. It's time to do inventory. On everything. That Jupiter and Taurus. What is it that I have? But then that Sun, Mars, in Scorpio, sextile Pluto, also is very inventory orientated. It's about where are we and where are we going? But of course, the Sun, Mars asks, what do we want? What do we really want? And try to make that happen.
That's beautiful. And I love that. I love your take on Sun, Mars, because I think there's a lot of information out there that's like, ooh, watch out, brace, duck, be protective. But I share your vision of it. And there may be the Scorpioness in me, but it is a lot of, it's like Mars is happy there. Mars likes where he's
Yeah.
That's his home. And yeah,
Yeah, it's his home. He's by the sun as well. And, I think it's Kazemi, right at the beginning. So, but it is, Sun, Mars travel for quite a lot, quite a few days, but it's really motivating. It's a real excitement. It's like it's waking up in the morning and going, yes, a new day. Like it's that energy. It's, unlike, other planets can go, oh God, I don't want to get out of bed. It's Sun, Mars really injects, a real boost to life. It is. It's a real booster. It's like a real vitamin C sort of, or something like that. It's great. Nice energy. Yeah. Some people might see it as quite alpha. And it sort of is, but that's fine. We all can tap into that alpha. I guess it's some way, it's a bit chest banging, I guess. But it's energetic. It's high energy. And, for people in the northern hemisphere, it's winter. So we need a bit of that boost, I think it's healthy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's the thing about Scorpio and Mars is giving you the courage to kind of like call it what it is. Say what you need to say, do what you need to do. And with the unaspected Jupiter, there's risk. I was actually listening to something this morning and it was talking about, there is a risk, but when the benefits outweigh the risk or when the opportunity is there, you're never going to get the opportunity. And I think that one of my mantras that I've had since I was 17 is regret is worse than anxiety, because it is. So I love how Mars and Sun is like, okay, well, you're never going to know unless you do it, and you need to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you'll regret not doing it. Yeah, exactly.
exactly. Yeah,
And that Sun Mars sextile Pluto in Capricorn, it's like Sun Mars. It's risky, and the unexpected Jupiter is really speculative. But the good thing about a Sun Mars and Scorpio sextile Pluto in Capricorn does take risks, but they're really, really calculated ones.
yes,
Because of the Jupiter, they appear not to be, but it's a very sensible sextile. It really is. It's Mars is contained there. It's not maverick in that placement. So any risk, it should be calculated, and a good one. Yeah.
I can see it being calculated and divinely protected because you're aligning with a purpose that is deep within you that you need the courage to embrace. Sometimes it's a big leap and it's scary and you're like, I would rather be in this safe little nest, and Mars and Scorpio is like, well, that's great, but well, you gotta do this side of it too. But yeah, it's a very powerful transit that I think can
Yeah.
positively obviously there's a shadow to every side. So, I think every action, just notice that, the law of the universe, every cause has cause and effect. Whatever you put out will come back. So, whatever transitions you're making, make them in the way that you'd want them to someone to be made with you. And yeah, embrace that path. I love that outlook of this week. If you could summarize it in like a sentence, like if you're like, this is our mantra, this is what we're gonna say to ourselves this week. Do you have a line? I don't want to put you on the spot,
I
but
would say, no, I would say, particularly with this, I would say, make sure you're in action mode rather than defense mode,
oh yes. Yeah.
because that can be defensive as well. So, it's your choice. You can either take that defensive, protectionistic sort of, energy, or you can rise to the call and go, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. That's longer than a sentence, Jamie, but
No, but
I
that's
don't know.
perfect. I love it. I can definitely wordsmith that. It's like rise to the call, take action.
Yeah,
Sense. And, a good like side note subtitle there, if you do find yourself ritually offended by something, if it kind of gets into that deep Scorpio well, follow that trigger, find the treasure. Why does it bother you? And will it
yeah,
bother you in 5 years? Like especially if it
good,
has to do like in the US, we're coming into a holiday season. And so there's a lot of family and close knit bonds, and we're often faced with our past and our legacy, and we're
uh,
faced with how far we've come. It's like this marker, but if there's a wound there, if there's something that's prodding you, then I would look at it. When you look at it and you name it, you disempower it, and Mars is going to give you all the courage that you need to do that. So action over defense. Perfect. Hi everyone, I'm Jamie McGee. And today I wanted to talk to you about a tool that I use in my astrological practice, and that is Astro Gold. It is a remarkable software that combines high precision calculations with insightful interpretations, making it an awesome choice for both beginners and seasoned astrologers. It's honestly like having a library of astrological wisdom right there at your fingertips, ready to assist you in crafting some really insightful astrological readings. Now, if you're ready to take your astrological journey to a new height, I recommend that you go to astrologyhub.com/astrogold and use our exclusive code AstroHub15 to get 15% discount on your purchase of Astro Gold. Trust me, this is an investment that you do not want to miss out on.
yeah,
Do you want to go ahead and go through the days and talk about how?
yeah. So the week starts on the 20th with the Sun Mars sextile Pluto. And, again, enduring. And I think the best way to start that day is to, look at ways to remove those blocks. How does one jump those hurdles? I mean, seeing oneself on sort of like a military confidence course, ducking and diving and climbing over walls. is a little bit, symbolic of that. But it's great for motivation and pushing through. So Tuesday, the 21st, we have Mercury traveling to Chiron. So Mercury is in Sagittarius and Chiron is in Aries. So this is a time to write down one's wounds, its ills, nice time to resolve, good time to communicate anything that's outstanding. It is a really good time to address that. And then on Wednesday, the 22nd, the sun moves into Sagittarius. So there's going to be a lift. There's going to be a sort of a lift in energy after sort of the, smoky, sultry Scorpio journey that the sun's made for the last month. Now moving into the fire sign of Sagittarius. So this gives it a bit of a boost. It's a bit lifting. But also on this day, the moon conjoins Neptune. But it does trine the sun, Mars. And it into the moon conjoining Neptune enters a gibbous phase. And moon Neptune is, this is really lovely. You're not going to have many of these left, while Neptune's in Pisces. So it's a really beautiful time. It can be emotionally charged. And when I say emotional, I don't necessarily mean overtly or expressively, although it can be, but it's just something where people are moved by something. So, it doesn't have to be necessarily expressed, but it is where, humans are moved in some way. That can come out in a really creative way as well. So, it's a lovely time to tap into one's imagination, a lovely time to sort of isolate oneself and be reflective and contemplative and things like that. Do take a note of any dreams and, good time to meditate. Do what's good for the soul. And that moon Neptune is in Pisces is beautiful for connecting, whether that's, physically with people, or, on social media. It has a very wide reach, that moon Neptune in Pisces. So make the most of that. And then on the 23rd, which is the Thursday, the 23rd, we have the moon and Chiron opposing Venus. Now, so this can be quite tough. So moon opposite Venus, it is a sort of a challenging one, particularly with Chiron there. So it is an invitation to heal old wounds with other people, not with yourself, not something within you. It is with others. It's an opposition. So it is about addressing that. But there's some nice signatures around that will ease that. So can be challenging, but it's a good time to put things to rest. Things that occupy and take space in our lives that don't need to anymore. So a healing time. And, it is a good time to, look after oneself, treat oneself, and just remembering that, you're special. And then on the 24th, so the 24th, Friday the 24th, we have Mars move into Sagittarius. So now we've got the Sun and Mars in Sagittarius. So it's a bit more rah-rah energy. It's a bit more fired up. So we're sort of going from more quiet and tensionist mode to something more of the archer, more of the, physical sort of soldier type, if you like. And the Sun, Mars and Sagittarius is very active. This is a sort of time that would occupy sports on TV and things like that. So it is a call to exercise. And, it is a sort of a hard-paced cardio. Sun, Mars and Sag is very, very cardio stuff, as opposed to the moon and Neptune in Pisces, which is more yoga or Tai Chi, that sort of thing.
So like right around in that time, we also have Sun square Saturn too. So how do you feel that that'll I think that happens in the middle of the night on the 23rd, but how would you?
Well, Sun and Sag square to Saturn and Pisces, it can be quite testing. I remember the Saturn-Neptune Sagittarius Pisces square and the images of refugees in Europe, and particularly by boat with the Pisces and that. And I see that Sun and Sag square to Saturn and Neptune testing of that. I mean, it's interesting, the news and around the world with refugees and people seeking asylum. It's a test of one's humanity. It's a test of one's ability to walk in other people's shoes. That's Sun and Sagittarius. How do other people think? How do they feel? What is the culture? And the Saturn in Pisces is how much can one give? And that is sort of on a social level. And on a personal level, it's, again, it's the same. We just look at it from a more psychological perspective. So it tests oneself. It tests oneself on what we know. And it sort of challenges us on our morality, if you like. So I think that's what that Sun Saturn square is about. But it's a good square. It's good motivating square to get things done. So yeah.
I can see that too. And then like it kind of falls right in the midst of that holiday that we have. So it's more authority figures. I think that I would say if you're going up against a fight, like, what is like, again, why are you fighting it? Like, are you fighting against just a tired old argument, or like, what can you do about the situation? Like when you're
Yeah.
watching the news and you feel it, like if you're just going to absorb that energy and do nothing with it, like it doesn't really benefit you or the situation. But if you can take any conscious action, I mean, it could be as simple as prayer, for something. I think that you'll be able to work positively with the prayer.
That's a really beautiful example, actually. When you've got that Sag Pisces, and yeah, it is a prayer. It is a prayer, and I think it's a really beautiful representation of that. Sagittarius and Pisces are both priests, and and the Sun Saturns are both sort of the paternal within all of us as well. And sometimes we may not, with the square, we may not, part of us may not agree with the prayer, but actually it's not about our own uncomfortableness. It's about what's right, I think,
Yeah, it's
with
the
that.
thought, it's the energy, it's what you're adding to the vibration of humanity and however
Yeah.
you choose to do that. So like, cause whatever energy is in you is amplified. You make a difference no matter like it's a very humbling experience when you think about that. Like,
Yeah.
your approach, your perspective, it matters. And someone is always watching you. Younger, if you're a mom or parents or have younger people around you, they're watching how you approach things. And you may think that no one is. Like, I don't have anyone in my life, but someone is aware of your energy. They're aware of
Yeah.
your take on it. They want to know what it is. That authority. Like you are an authority to someone and you're responding to an authority in your life. And how you do that matters with the square. So
Yeah.
you have more power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sort of also an invitation, putting your money where your mouth is, sort of thing,
Yeah.
isn't it? Sort of as well. Do you know what I mean? Because again, it's that form. The whole week has that whole bringing form. It
Yes.
is like, it's like, put your money where, it really is. And it is that, because it is that Jupiter, it's Sag energy. So it is all those gambling terms. Put your money where your mouth is. Put your cards on the table. All those sort of Jupiter Sagittarian. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
If you got
yeah,
time to complain about it, you have time to do something about it. Like that's
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Love that. Love that. Yeah,
Uh,
perfect.
all right. So going into the weekend is there anything else you want to say about the 24th?
Yeah, yeah. The moon conjuncts the nodes as well. But, this is really perhaps just looking at highlighting relationships, how we have to deal with them, giving us the resources to deal with them. It's not an easy time on the planet. And the nodes, of course, in Aries Libra. So again, we're getting into Thanksgiving season. So it's going to offer an opportunity to resolve. Whenever there's that opposition, it's going to be about somebody else. And there's so a lot of tools this week to deal with that. And then on Saturday, the 25th, we have the moon conjoined to Jupiter, which is really nice and interesting because Jupiter has been unaspected. And besides aspects to the moon, Jupiter remains unaspected until the 30th. So the moon with Jupiter is very interesting. This is when the Jupiter gets integrated with the rest of rest of the planets and what they're doing. So here we do find a bit more of a gamble with the moon there as well. It's also, perhaps makes mountains and molehills. Jupiter does that anyway, but unaspected and only conjoined to the moon. So it becomes an emotional thing. So again, it may be a bit overwhelming, and that comes with the Mars square Saturn. on the 25th as well. So that's again between the Sagittarius and the Pisces. So it's more of the Sun Mars squared to Saturn. So um, bit of a standoff, the Mars Saturn square. Um, Normally, when you think of Mars Saturn square, it is like you're running 100 miles an hour with the brakes on, or just, finding and trying to get up that hill, but it's all in slow motion. But like when we dream or things like that. So, but this here, the Sagittarius Pisces, offers similar to what we were just talking about with the Sun square Saturn. But this is a bit more, physical. Mars is more physical, and Sagittarius. So it's a call to just make something work. I think it has to do with really just investing and trying to get things to work. It's and I don't mean in a fix it situation. I mean like just strive, just keep striving. You just have to keep persisting. Mars Saturn square is a great enduring, really good enduring sort of configuration. So persist, I would say is the key for that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that energy too, because it's 'cause you have this need to take action, but there is a system or an authority figure or something that is established that is questioning your advancement of how you want to do it. And that's one of those things where I think if you're, especially if you're an entrepreneur, or if you're anyone who's kind of stepping out into the world in any kind of way, the first thing you do is look around and say, well, what is everybody else doing? But the universe wants you to look within and say, you need to do it the way that you're designed. Like there is a unique code in you that says, do it your own way. And I think with the way to work with that square is to listen within and take your action. And, you can definitely, it's always good to take advice. It's always good to see where, if you're looking ahead at how it's being done out there, look at what's not working instead of don't mimic what is working unless it has your own unique brand, but instead learn from other people's mistakes, kind of like you've watched it. Mercury went through here already. So Mercury kind of announced everything. And now Mars can look and see, okay, well, I know what the information is. I know what the strategy was, or what you think I should do. This is the action I need to take. And there could be a little bit of a pushback, like not
Yeah.
yet, or wait, like a stalemate. But if you have the vision and you have the dream and your intentions are in a really great place, because this is very spiritual, like we've talked about, it's a very much higher power kind of energy, like
Yeah. Yeah.
like it's
Yeah, it
something
is.
coming through you. So if you honor that and you don't really care what you receive on the other side of it, but it just, like you said earlier, sits right with your soul. Like if what you're doing sits right with your soul and it's something that you can sleep soundly, not only tonight, but 20 years from now, from the actions that you're taking, that's what you need to do. And that's
Yeah.
where, and it's good to have that structure, because we do have a lot of this energy that says go big or go home and put all the cards on the table. But the Saturn there is saying, great idea, but how can you scale that?
Yeah.
Can you keep this flow can you work at that speed? Can you hold this schedule for the next whatever, And the answer is
Yeah.
probably no. So Saturn wants you to have the system and the structure. So every faucet, every level of your life, is healthy and thriving and helping you reach your purpose. So it is an interesting kind of bookend that Mars.
Yeah. And I think the word purpose is really important because, yeah, I think that makes a real difference, especially when you've got, squares to the sun and things like that. It's questioning you. Is that really what you wanted? Does that conflict with what you believe in? Does this conflict, So it questions, and especially in Sagittarius, it questions.
Very,
So,
yeah, like very
yeah,
blunt. It's one of those things where you will state your dream and someone will bluntly say like something right back to you, because Sagittarius, it can't hide the truth. It has to speak its truth, no matter how blunt it is. It'll try to do it kindly with a smile on it, but you're going to get the truth. And
yeah,
I feel like if you don't want the response, then don't get it. I mean, don't ask for it. Like you don't need, if you need approval from someone else, then I would encourage you to look more so within, because you shouldn't, the
yeah,
external approval is not what you need right now. It's the internal approval. It's like, am
yeah,
I on path with something that sits right with my soul? And
absolutely. Beautifully
that inner
said.
navigation. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And coming back to what you said about make sure you don't have regrets, that's what a lot of this is about, this, the Saturnian stuff, Pluto and Capricorn stuff. And yeah, it's to make sure you don't. So that's the constant dilemma, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Because it's an interesting time to be living through, globally and even in your personal lives. Because everything happening out there is happening inside somewhere, and finding a way to, I love, like, even, like, our coming back to our theme, we want action over reaction, like, we wanna take an action that really sits right with us too, like, it's not I don't wanna be defensive over what I'm hearing or seeing. I want it to take positive action towards something that is going to sit right with my soul and build me
Yeah.
up, tear me down. And, yeah, if you find yourself in a spiral and coming back around to the same story, the same theme, the same situation, then sometimes you have to ask yourself, what's the common denominator here? Like, what is
Yeah.
the common story? Because there's going to be threads that you carry through, but there's some positive common denominators and there's some negative ones. And there's some that are common positive denominators for a path. They'll walk with us on a section of our lives, and then there's gonna come a fork in the road, and that denominator needs to go its way, and you go your way because your stories change or your situation
Yes.
change. And it's depending on how your personal makeup is made, there's a lot of different ways it can manifest. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's a very interesting it's a very, very interesting week. So many different things playing out that it's yeah.
I
Yeah.
definitely think it's all how you react. Your perspective is gonna make the difference one way or the other. Even if something that you did not anticipate in a million years happens, the question is, well, or to try to stay curious, like, well, why? I mean, where is this leading me? Like, if that is a no, what is it a yes to in my life, and how
Mm.
can I get there? Because it'll
Yes.
put to those if you get caught in that deep river of Scorpio emotion, you kinda get pulled down.
Yeah, and finding all these different ways to empower oneself.
Yeah.
Like, like it's about collecting tools for your toolkit and finding ways to empower and this and on every level, physically, emotionally, psychologically, relationship wise, creatively, and all all these things. Because I think people feel disempowered. And that's what these signatures bring up. They bring up that uncomfortableness with uh, disempowerment. Even though and it's the good thing about the Mars, Sun, and Scorpio is being able to identify what is making you feel disempowered. And that is the key, again, to particularly with sextile to Pluto and Capricorn, it's key to the direction one needs to take. I think that's, yeah, definitely the case.
Well, that's the sextile to Pluto. Pluto's at the end of Capricorn. So in a way, if you have like familiar themes, some of them can be really old, like 14 years, because Pluto's been there. But Pluto's been teaching you power dynamics when it comes to Capricorn themes, where your power is and where it isn't. And you've learned how to surrender and how not to surrender and how to balance it. So in familiar themes, that sextile could give you suggestions from your
Mm.
past, something that you've already have accomplished. Like, last time this happened was forever ago in this situation, but this is how I handled it. And I'm going to handle it differently this time because for whatever reason, insert your reason, or I'm going to handle it exactly the same way because it worked perfectly. I don't know that that'll always be the case, but
Yeah.
that 14-year lesson that Pluto's had is right for you to take that power that he's taught you. And that sextiles are suggestions or ideas. It's that thought you get when you're doing the dishes, like, oh, I know what I should do.
Mm.
Or it's like you're awakening something that maybe has been suppressed within you for whatever reason. And you take that information, you're able to use that Mars Sun action and go launch out there. And then, like, as we talked about the progression of the week, we'll have all this great energy in the beginning of it. And it's almost like the second you get your gumption, you run into Saturn, and Saturn is just like, that's great. And it's good to listen to those. Okay, well, yeah, this is the cost, physically, mentally, whatever of that. What are you going to do about that? And it's not a no. It's like, what are you going to do about that? Like, how can you
Yeah.
set that? And how can you work with something, and the world is always changing. Something that was really challenging to do 10 years ago may not be that challenging right now with the way that technology is. You may need less.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love it. Brilliant.
So we have one more day left in the week, the 26th. Do you have any insights that you'd like to share with us about that one?
Well, I mean, Ceres moves into Sagittarius again, really sort of bringing up that sort of Sun, Mars, Sagittarian energy. And the moon conjoins Uranus at 20 degrees of Taurus. So it's sort of a real rah-rah, again, sort of end of the week is just as full on as the beginning. The Uranus brings in a sort of level of nervousness and also, maybe to do with finances as well, as the moon in Taurus will highlight that. And it's a time to think about what one earns, the income, how one spends, that sort of thing. So money is going to be of issue at that point, as will the physical body. Um, but again, finding a way to give your ideas form, whether you voice record it on your phone or write it down by journaling or something like that. But, have some fun with that, all the ideas out there. And there's some genius ones out there. Moon conjoined Uranus is always, it's when people have epiphanies. So, make the most of that. And, the moon in Taurus, food, enjoy the food. I just think, yeah, moon in Taurus, always great, always fabulous to have food, whether you're a wine and cheese person or you're vegan or you're whatever you are. It's a sumptuous, really beautiful time. So, in that whole sort of holiday spirit, it's fabulous for that. And with the Uranus, do something inventive, do something different, do something you've never tried before. Yeah.
So I think I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this, because I know we've mentioned finances at the front and the end of this week. So is there any tools or any things to be mindful of when it comes to finances? Is it one of those times where you need to spend less or, like invest differently, prepare for losses, prepare for possible advances?
I think it's very manic. I think there's really amazing possibilities in this week. I'm not qualified to say what they'd be, but I do think if you are rigorous in your research and you know what you're doing, the markets are going to be really fascinating to watch. And therefore, we understand how that works the next time. Things will be volatile, but there will be peaks. I think more peaks than troughs. So, yeah. And again, all that sort of Scorpio, that Sun, Mars and Scorpio, Sextile, Pluto and Capricorn, and with an unaspected Jupiter, there's sort of a recipe here in that you can't get it wrong. If you are rigorous, you can't sort of get it wrong. It's got nothing really to do with luck. It's about doing it properly and doing it right. And there's all those signatures there.
Would this be a seeding point or a reward point? Like this transit, are we going to see a reward for something we've already done? Or is this a time to plant seeds for rewards to come?
I think we're at the seed planting is sort of before the new moon. This is coming up to a gibbous phase. So it's time to see things sprout, if you like.
Mhm.
Where the rewards, I think, in this one, like all the oppositions that are happening with past and Mars, Sun, Mars, Uranus opposition, we're coming in. There's a lot of moon, there's a lot of Venus, Chiron. So I think, and with those oppositions, I think the rewards are with resolve with others. There's real opportunity to resolve. And when you get all these moon, Venus, Chiron oppositions and stuff too, there's an unaspected Jupiter. There's understanding. So that's the thing with all this sort of stuff this week. Even though there may be conflict and there may be resentment, irritation, that unaspected Jupiter umbrellas all of this in terms of you may not agree. In fact, you may disagree with a lot of it, but you do understand. There is an understanding, and that's what I hope that Jupiter and Taurus, because Jupiter and Taurus, I always see symbolically as a dragon. It's slow to rise, but it is a dragon. And so there's a wisdom here. Really, just take that wisdom and apply it.
I was just curious if recent past actions would be that's what you're saying we're going to see. So if we've been working towards something or working on something and we've invested knowledge, time, whatever, this transit could be like, voila, for you.
Yeah. I guess one of the flavors for the week is invest in other people. Because there's oppositions involving Moon, Venus, Chiron, but then you've got the unaspected Jupiter, Uranus, and Taurus. Then you've got the Sun, Mars, and Scorpio, Sextile, Pluto. Actually investing in people.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
Collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seeing your
Yeah, exactly, Jamie. That's exactly the collaboration. Things like that. Yeah. Yeah, and it may not be easy or comfortable, but it will be incredible and valuable. That's the key word to valuable. Jupiter, Uranus, unaspected in Taurus. There's a lot of value to be had here. And also looking at the sky this week, there's something really interesting. Jupiter, Uranus, both unaspected in Taurus. So to stand on the earth and look up at the sky, Jupiter and Uranus are both godfathers, if you like. You know, I'm sorry to be so gender specific, but mythologically, that's what they're attributed to. So when we think of these big gods, if you like, then space and sky and our universe above us, around us, are going to be of really big interest this week in some form or another. Hopefully an invention, hopefully an innovation that'll spearhead us into some new territory.
I'm excited to see how everyone in the audience can use this energy. I would love to know how you've already been feeling Mars and Sun, because we always feel Mars in the approach. So I wonder if you have any fun Mars stories you want to share in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And I would also love to know, like, what are your intentions for this week? If I know that sometimes you don't want to write them down, but if you have a good intention, my intention for this week is to whatever. I think that'll give it some power. If you want to let us know under the comments, Wendy, and I would love to see that. But yeah, that's been great. Wendy, do you have anything else that you'd want to say about this week overall?
Well, for some people, it's going to feel like boot camp. So, choose your own boot camp. What is that boot camp going to be? And Jamie, that's where rewards will also come forth too.
We have some great, great lines in here. I love that it's like action over reaction and investing in others. Those are some great things to walk with and think about this week. You may see yourself in someone else. If you have someone that you admire, lean into them. If you see someone, of a different generation that you're like, this is what I can do to invest in you, to help you, because by helping you, I'm going to help so many people. Yeah, definitely, that spirit of giving, spirit of gratitude too, like appreciating who you are and all the little things that had to happen to get you to this point. Because sometimes we get so wrapped up in the emotion of whatever we're experiencing that we forget the blessing of the moment. If I hadn't done this, this wouldn't have happened. And I'm so grateful that this happened, because now I have the opportunity to do this. Whether it's challenging or easy, I have this opportunity. And just that shift in your mindset, it shifts your magnetism, and you'll be
Yeah.
surprised. The phone rings and people show up or messages show up, and then that's how you know that you're really starting to align with that.
I love that. And I love sometimes when you have Sun, Mars, and Scorpio as well, it can feel like there's an absence of Venus. And even though Venus is in Libra at the moment, um, it can feel like an absence. So I think being grateful is a really lovely message as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always good to be grateful no matter what week it is in the
Yeah.
world. But this has been an absolute pleasure, Wendy. And I'm so grateful, as being part of the inner circle, that I get to spend even more time with you, because you still have your full moon forecast. And I'm going to watch your masterclass one more time because it's amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're
And
such a
likewise, it's lovely spending time with you too, Jamie.
Aw.
It's wonderful. Very insightful. I love how you sum things up, and it's just so incredibly insightful. So yeah, it's a real pleasure working with you too. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's making me red. About to edit the red out the blush. I'm so humbled. It's brilliant. But I think you're a fabulous teacher, and I look forward to spending some more time with you in the inner circle. I know that all of our members are excited. If anyone wants to know about the inner circle, we'll put a link underneath this broadcast for you too. But I did want to remind you again about the chart reading extravaganza, Harmonic Aspects with Rick Levine. Now, that class just started last week, so you're not too late to kind of join in on the fun. Rick will be picking up to 16 different charts to read in the class to help students understand the technique that he is teaching, which is absolutely brilliant. How can it not be? It's Rick Merlin Levine. You can learn more about this at astrologyhub.com/harmonic, and we'll put the link under the broadcast for you as well. But I do hope you have a wonderful week, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much for making astrology a part of your life.
The entirety of our known universe, from the subatomic microcosmic level to the galactic macrocosmic level, is all built upon the blueprint of sacred geometry. Everything in the cosmos is made up of the sacred geometrical laws that bring reality into existence. Traditionally, we astrologers look at these patterns through a 12-fold system based on 12 signs of the zodiac, However, dividing a cycle by 12 is not the only way that nature works. It's just a very convenient way for us to mathematically divide a circle by 2, 3, 4, or 6, which of course creates the traditional aspects all astrologers know well. Unfortunately, this patriarchal bias prompts us to miss a lot of the action when we divide a circle by the magical 5, or the otherworldly division by the number 7, or even the motivational number 8, in order to widen our astrological thinking. So we can make invisible worlds visible. We're going to look at quintiles, the division by 5, septiles, the division by 7, octiles, called semi-squares and sesqui-squares. That's the division by 8, and even more. Hey all, this is Rick Levine, and I'm excited to be announcing my latest course, Unlocking the Magic of Harmonic Aspects. This, as some of you know, is one of my favorite astrological topics, and I'm quite pleased to be teaching this on the Astrology Hub. Although the course actually includes a 1-hour introductory video that's a crash course in harmonic aspects for anyone unfamiliar with them, it's also a refresher for those who have already studied some of these aspects. But the course is not a course on theory. It's a hands-on practical application of harmonic aspects for natal chart interpretation. I'm going to be reading 4 charts per class in 4 2-hour live Zoom webinars, meaning that 16 lucky students will be chosen in advance and will be brought on screen to have me analyze, to unfold their harmonic aspects, revealing things about charts that maybe these people have never had put into words in an astrological session. So I invite you to come along on a mind-expanding ride and take a next step into your astrological studies. More information, details on the curriculum, and registration is available. I'm Rick Levine. See you online.